Like the merry-go-round at the amusement park, the wheel of samsara amuses us for a time, until it doesn't any longer. Around and around and around we go. Where it stops, we know like a flash of awakening, or like a slow remembering, that we can step off this dizzying, distracting wheel at any time. The wheel of samsara is our pattern of life, death, our habitual patterns of ego manifesting through cycles of relationships, attachments, stagnation. The wheel of samsara turns as long as we remain in sleeping consciousness. We repeat and repeat and repeat. We sleep and sleep and sleep, lifetime after lifetime, and our soul is never recognized. To continue on the wheel is our commitment to ignorance, suffering, mortality, recklessness. To step off the wheel is to make a firm decision that ascension is our chosen evolutionary path. To draw ourselves off the wheel is no easy task. We begin to recognize how we have taken ourselves to the same destructive, disorderly, disastrous experience over and over again. We comprehend how we have unconsciously created patterns that keep us trapped in energies that crave drama, disease, emotional unrest. Once understood, we begin to step off. We begin the arduous journey of creating a disciplined appetite for spiritual growth. To study the wheel of samsara is to study ourself, moment by moment, year by year, lifetime by lifetime, and recognize how we have been spinning. We grow up, fall in love, get married, have some kids, argue, become dissatisfied, get divorced, die. Next life, we grow up, fall in love, get married, have some kids, argue, become dissatisfied, get divorced, die. Next life, repeat. Spinning. We become excited for a job opportunity, more power, more money, more recognition. We show up, we overwork, we get weary, disenchanted, we blame the job. We quit, or we get fired. We become excited for a job opportunity. More power, more money, more recognition. We show up. We overwork, we get weary, disenchanted, we blame the job, we quit, we get fired. Repeat. Spin. We eat, we diet, we lose weight, we binge, we gain weight, we suffer, we repeat, we spin. We get exercise, we get into shape, we get distracted, we get lazy, we get out of shape, we spin, we repeat. We pray, we don't pray. We meditate, we don't meditate. We love, we stop loving. We are committed, we get distracted. We start a project, we get distracted. We get excited, we get distracted. We begin to study the great masters. We get distracted. We are given keys and clues and the secrets to unlock the mysteries. We get distracted. We are offered eternal life. We get distracted. We touch eternal peace. We choose chaos. Over and over again. Over and over again. Over and over again. Until we stop and step off the wheel of samsara. Then we begin to reverse the wheel. It requires a strong commitment, a steady focus, determination. It requires a disciplined life and lots of strength, willpower, perseverance, and right perspective. rewards begin to manifest. We are able to hold steady in the light. We make decisions that benefit our health, vitality, and awakening. We tap into an effortless effort in all that we do: work, relationships, chores, meditation. The vision of our soul purpose comes into light, and the future of enlightenment comes into view. We see light, not at the end of the tunnel. We see the light within us, expanding exponentially. And freedom of expression is our new destiny. The expression of eternal life, the expression of ascension, the expression of unconditional love, the expression of liberation is our new destiny. We travel consciously through time and space, through dimensions, and dance in varying frequencies of color and sound. We are no longer bound. This three-dimensional reality reveals itself as an illusion, and we are no longer attached to or attracted to the material, the corporal, the mundane, the unconscious. The confines of habitual patterns that imprison us within the everlasting wheel of samsara. It holds us no more. We are truly free. Free from ourselves. Free from our lower nature. Free from desire. Free from fear. Free from attachment. To step off the wheel of samsara is our first step toward freedom. We reverse the wheel of samsara and enter an expansion of liberated bliss. We become angels, light bearers, healers, ascended masters, warriors of the light, gods, goddesses. We step off the wheel of samsara and into eternal bliss.
There we go. All right, welcome everyone. Again, thank you for being here. I'm Diana Aldrich, and I'm sharing tonight, No Fear, Eternal Bliss, Winning the Inner War. And we're going to dive deeply into all that that means and all that surrounds that theme for this evening. My first question for you tonight in the chat is, are any of you struggling with emotions or thought patterns that are challenging for you as you try to carry out your life vision, your goals, your day-to-day 12 sacred agreements? Just a yes or a no. If you have any challenge in the way of procrastination or fear or self-discipline or laziness or distraction or fatigue, vitality, energy, in any of those realms, I'm seeing a lot of yes, 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 yep, yep, yep. Good. So for those of you who are willing, a little bit later, all of the above, I'll ask you to share if you would like to, what some of your specific challenges are. And I'll be happy to help you with those specifics after I give you sort of the general and also the technique called Hamsak. There's a beautiful, ancient, sacred, extremely practical, extremely efficient technique, practice, method for dissolving all of those negative, challenging aspects that I was just talking about. And what we're going to talk a little bit about tonight, what underlies all of that distraction and fear and frustration and lack of discipline, is fear. There's something in the fear body that then manifests through us in all of these variety of ways. And rather than repressing or denying or ignoring or bypassing or all of these variety of ways to handle that fear and all that comes from that fear, what I like to offer is how do we dissolve it? How do we actually eliminate it? Not try to overcome it, but actually dissolve it from our personality, which in the video you saw this concept of the wheel of samsara, which is this life pattern or thought pattern or cycle of emotions that we just keep repeating over and over and over and over again. It might be just a negative thought. Oh, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. Or maybe it's a way we handle money or our career or a relationship to relationship to relationship. There's a certain wheel that each of us are on. And when we can recognize that wheel and step off of it, we can begin to dissolve it. And that's when we have a whole new world that opens up to us in the way of possibility. So this is a topic I'm super passionate and always excited to share. And so again, I'm very happy that you are here with me tonight. I'm going to share my screen again. Let me know where you're coming in from in the chat while I bring up our keynote. All right. And I want to see if I can have from Canada, from California. Hi, Michelle, from Colorado, Carrie. Beautiful. Florida. Welcome to the Northlands. I'm in Wisconsin, for those of you who don't know, who haven't met me yet. And anyone here for my previous offerings, Sacred Water Sensual Life or Cosmic Mind, Cosmic Sun Resplendent Mind from last month, San Diego, California. Can you share the link to the video? Yes, I would love to do that. I was a few minutes late. Yes, I would be happy to do that. Great. Yes, Yvonne was at both. Beautiful. Okay. So we're getting to know each other a little bit. I'm so excited you're here. So no fear, eternal bliss, winning the inner war. What is this inner war? It has to do with the wheel of samsara that I was speaking about. And it has to do with those aspects of the self. In my world, in my language, from my teacher, we call it the ego. Now, other teachers, I have another teacher that I read, an ascended master, who refers to the ego as soul. Purpose is tonight, just so that we're all on the same page. Ego, as I use it tonight, is going to be that which defines those negative, challenging emotions and thought patterns that are based in fear, just so that we're all on the same page. So whatever understanding you have of that word, just sort of let that be. It's not right or wrong, mine tonight, not right or wrong. Like I said, many teachers, many masters use that same word in a variety of ways. But tonight we're going to talk about ego, what's known in Christianity and in many other traditions, spiritual traditions, as the 7 deadly sins, which are anger, pride, envy, laziness, greed, gluttony, and lust. So of those 7, it's said that they multiply into 7 more. And those 7 aspects of anger, let's say, multiply into another 7. And of those 14 or more, another 7, 49, so on and so forth. So anger on the spectrum could be just a little bit of impatience. You're in the grocery line and you really have somewhere you want to be, or there's a phone call coming in and you're just a little impatient. Makes you a little angry, but we call it impatience. On the other end of the spectrum, we have violent rage, uncontrolled violent rage stemming from anger. So there's a spectrum of all of these 7 deadly sins, and we all have, which is going to be helpful for us to really, what's the word that I want? Really, really deeply comprehend that we all have all of these egos to varying degrees. And what that allows us to do with others, our loved ones, our partner, our children, our parents, our neighbors, other countries, other nations, is understand that when there are challenges emotionally, we can have compassion because we can see that they're in their ego, some manifestation of that ego. And that ego is based in fear. And really, they're scared. And it's so much easier to have compassion for someone who's afraid than someone who's angry, or someone who's full of arrogance and pride, or someone who's full of greed and power. When we recognize that we too have that greed, that power, we too have a certain degree of arrogance, and it comes from our own internal fear, we can be more gentle with ourselves. And we can begin to work with this emotional life within us in a very different way, without judgment, without recrimination, but with love and gentility, which makes way for forgiveness, self-forgiveness first, and then a very easy way to forgive others, compassion. 2024, this year, we are in Lifebook. Those of you with me in Lifebook, in the category month of the emotional life. So if, in 2024, in your category of the emotional life, in the chat, let me know, is this a year that you would like to dissolve the emotions that hold you back from achieving your life vision? I asked that question already, actually. Is this your year to dissolve the emotions that prevent you from basking in bliss on the way to your life vision? Is this your year to dissolve internal patterns of fear, procrastination, overwhelm, negativity? I mentioned some of those earlier. This year, would you like to master your emotions? That's a big one, but with this technique I'm going to give you tonight, totally doable. And is this the year that you'd like to bask in blissful freedom? Freedom, what does freedom mean? We're going to be talking about freedom. That internal freedom is that point that you reach in your spiritual maturity where you are master of your mental body, your physical body, your emotional body, and your energetic body. So an emotion may rise, like procrastination, like fill in the blank, but you recognize it, you observe it, you're aware of it, and you have the technique, you have a practice, whether it's the one I shared tonight or any other practice that works for you, and you utilize that practice immediately in the moment to dissolve that emotion that's not serving your highest good or the highest good of those around you, and you annihilate it, you eliminate it, you dissolve it, and therefore you master that emotion, your emotional body. You can do the same with your thought body, your mental body, the same with your physical body. We may feel hungry, but it's not time to eat. We may feel thirsty, but there's no water. Rather than getting frustrated or upset or scared, we can master the physical body, slow down the processes of the body, quiet the mind, and wait until food is available or it's time to eat or water is present. So in these ways, we begin to master. And when we've mastered those four bodies of our personality, as we refer to them, then and only then are we truly free, truly free. So tonight we're talking about how to master those emotions of freedom. I'm seeing a little bit in the chat. Let's see what folks are up to. I'm seeing some yes. Oh my, please. This is the year. Yes, in a happy, blissful, love-filled way. Absolutely, Michelle, with love. We always work on our ego with tons of love and forgiveness and self-care. Time to dissolve it all and master emotions to bask in true freedom. Exactly right. My goal is to feel and allow all my emotions and choose which ones I want to stay in vibration with. It's exactly what I'm offering for you tonight. A way to do that. It may be just one tool in your toolkit. I'm sure many of you have been on this path a long time and have wonderful modalities that work for you. And I hope that this can add to all that you have already. For those of you who don't know me yet, just a little bit about myself. Again, I'm Diana, and I have a beloved Inca teacher. He's Quechua. He's a Quechua elder from the Andes Mountains of Peru. He's based in Cusco. And for, almost 24 years now, I've been working with Willaru. I've been learning from him, practicing his teachings, and also facilitating his pilgrimages, his teaching pilgrimages in the US, in Canada, and also taking groups down to Peru, to Machu Picchu, to the Sacred Valley, to Lake Titicaca, to explore the sacred sites and the esoteric teachings of the ancient Inca culture. And so that's some of my background. This Hamsak practice I'm going to share with you tonight. I sat with Willaru in New York City. It was 24 years ago, the first time he taught me this practice. So I've been using this practice for decades. I've used it to eradicate my own fear. Still have some. This is a lifetime or a many lifetime endeavor. But I have come a long way since I first began to work with this technique, which is why I'm so delighted to share. And I consider it to be the one modality, the one practice that if every human knew about it and practiced it, it would eradicate all war, all poverty, all hate, all fear, all negativity. Can you imagine a world of peace and freedom and love and tolerance? So this is how powerful I believe this practice to be. Willaru, my teacher, says, give death to the dead so as not to live like the dead. Give death to the dead so as not to live like the dead. What does that mean? To give death to those dead aspects of ourselves, that type of negativity and fear that drains our vitality, drains our life force, makes us feel like we don't want to get out of bed in the morning, makes us feel like maybe we just don't want to live at all anymore, makes us feel like we have no passion, no vision, no future, no light at the end of the tunnel. Like the phrase, the dead men walking, like a dead man walking. When we are full of this type of ego, it feels like death internally. And we see our external world as negative and dying and horrific all around us. Even though all around us is a garden of paradise. Even though all around us is beauty and joy and flowers blooming and the sun shining and water flowing and good food and wonderful people, we can't see the beauty because there's a part of us that is dead to that beauty. This technique helps us to give death to those aspects that are dead within us. So that we don't live like the dead. So we don't live that way. So we're no longer dead men walking, dead women walking. When we begin to do that, we can give life to our bliss. We can give life to our happiness, life to our joy. And I'm going to explain more about how that happens as we go tonight. Emotions, not all emotions are negative. Of course, not all emotions drain us. There's abundant, wonderful emotions. And even emotions that are challenging can be very important to our survival. If we're scared because a grizzly bear is chasing us, let's be really scared. It'll kick in our adrenaline. We'll run a lot faster. Good. It's a good thing. Emotions can be a wonderful guidepost. The challenge is when they start to master us and we are not in control of those emotions, as I was explaining earlier. That's when we begin to die little by little with each emotion. So this one critical practice for you, for your life, for me, certainly in my life, called Hamsak. It's exquisite. What does exquisite mean? It's precise. It's efficient. It feels good. It feels really good when you do it. It feels really good almost immediately. It deepens over time with practice. Expands also over time with practice. And it's very effective to win this inner war of, do I want to get out of bed today? Do I not want to get out of bed? Do I want to do that one task, that one habit today that gets me closer to my goal? Do I want to choose the right food, or do I want to eat a bag of chips and donuts? You know, that inner war, we have this inside of us, back and forth, pulling us this way, pulling us that way, pulling us this way, pulling us that way. So this hamsak is the weapon, if you will, to destroy that which creates the inner war within us, which is the ego. Ego versus valor. So valor will be those beautiful virtues of the soul, I call them, that will be free, will be liberated once you begin to dissolve your internal resentment, your internal gluttony or need for more or neediness or scarcity mindset, all of these things that bring us into an ego. As we dissolve that ego, there's room for more of our light. There's more room for us to be expansive and gracious and generous in our love, in our finances, and in our time, in our service, because there's space for that. We're not filled with the emotions that are pulling us down. Spoke a little bit about the Wheel of Samsara already. It's these cycles of patterns, life after life. We'll come back around to that through the night over and over, like the wheel will keep coming back. The revolution of consciousness, that was in the beginning text of the video. For tonight's purposes, I can do a whole evening just on the revolution of consciousness. I spoke to it a little bit last month, the 3 steps of the revolution of consciousness, which is first to dissolve the ego. We're going to get into that deeply tonight. The second step is how to revitalize our vitality with our sexual life force, also known as our kundalini or our prana. And then how to be in unconditional love, how to be gracious in our service, how to live our soul's purpose with passion in the world to the benefit of others or the earth or animal friends or the trees, whatever your passion is. So the revolution of consciousness is about getting off of this wheel of samsara so that we can come into alignment with our soul's purpose. And then our soul begins to master our personality. It's our soul that uses our physical body. It's our soul that uses our mental body. It's our soul that uses our emotional body, and our soul that uses our energetic body to carry out its purpose. What is Hamsak? Exactly, this practice tonight. It's many things. It's definitely a meditation, and it's a meditation that includes visualization, sound. Ham and sak is a sound that under your breath you will create that sound. Hamsak doesn't have a literal meaning as in words. It has like Om, the universal sound of Om. It resonates, Hamsak resonates in the space of transformation or transmutation. It's a vibration that helps us be alchemists, if you will, transforming one energy or vibration or frequency into another energy, frequency, vibration. So a lower, denser frequency of a negative ego into a higher, more resplendent vibration of a virtue of the soul. So this practice has multiple aspects of which I'm going to teach all of it to you tonight so you can leave and really be able to use it. And why use Hamsak? I think I've talked about that a lot already, because it will be the technique that will help you if you have these hurdles, if you haven't been able to get to the other side of your own lack of self-discipline or your own procrastination or your own fear or your own fatigue or your own fill in the blank. This will be a practice that can help you do that. And if we're all using this practice, and we're all eliminating our anger and our greed and our gluttony and all those pieces, wow, we're going to be in a really beautiful world altogether. So this is what I invite you into. Let's talk about emotions just for a moment. Emotions, this is my maybe definition as I've unpacked these 4 bodies of the personality over many decades. We can master our emotions because, and just try to meet me here tonight, just for the sake of, just for fun. You may or may not buy into this, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. Emotions aren't really a thing. There is no such thing as emotions. And in fact, in the Atlantean solar race, they were directed to dissolve entirely their emotional body or their astral body, which they failed to do. And so we, in this fifth solar race, they were the fourth solar race, that of Atlantis, were the fifth solar race. We have taken on that work in addition to mastering the mental body. So because they didn't master the emotional body, and the Lemurian race, the third solar race, didn't master the physical body, in our current race, we're still trying to master the physical body. That's why health is such an issue, and weight loss and diet and energy, all of these pieces of the health are still challenging. The emotional body is still challenging us. We still haven't mastered the emotional body. Now it is our time to master the mental body. But the emotions are very strong still. But in emotion, we can dissolve that body entirely, because emotions is an extension of our thought body. We can't really have an emotion unless there is a thought connected with that emotion. But that thought is amplified by our biology, meaning our hormones, coupled with a third aspect, which is our experience in the past, which produces memory. And when we put memory with our hormones and a thought pattern, it creates this vibration called an emotion. We identify it as an emotion. But fear, if we really break it down, is a thought. We think we're in danger. Our biology has kicked in with adrenaline, if we're scared, that kind of fear. And we've got a memory that someone told us that we should be scared of a grizzly bear, or we've seen someone attacked by a grizzly bear. And the combination of this memory or this teaching from our past with our biology, which is a beautiful response often, but not always, because sometimes traumatic experiences of our past can create a biology reaction to things in our world that have nothing to do with what's really going on in the present moment. But then we've got a thought. Oh, I should be scared, or I am scared, and we feel emotional. But if we can master the thought, if we can understand what our biology is doing it and bring it into harmony or an equilibrium, and if we can understand that right now we're experiencing a memory or a fact or a teaching that was given to us by someone else in the past, we can start to pull that emotional knot of thread apart and pull the thread of thought and the thread of biology and the thread of memory apart. And then we're really not left with anything. We can attend to the past experience. We can attend to our biology. We can attend to our thought, each separately. And then the emotion will just simply be quiet. Does that make any sense to you all at all? Just give me a yes or a question in the chat if you want me to go into that more deeply. I'm going to stop the share just for a moment. Time to dissolve it all, Fu says, and master emotions and bask in true freedom. Yes, we talked about that. My goal is to feel and allow all my emotions and choose which ones I want to stay in vibration. Yeah, so I read that too. Absolutely, that's the mastery. Some emotions are wonderful. We want to bask in those emotions. There's beautiful emotions, pleasurable emotions, and sometimes we want to be in an angry emotion. If we can move that vibration, that frequency of anger through us in a productive way, rather than a way that we are not in control of, so that our vibration never does harm to other. So anyone have any questions or any thoughts or anything that you would like to share on anything that I have given so far before we move on? And if not that, go ahead and put into the chat, and you can always mark yourself as anonymous if that feels better to you. Yes, if you could talk more about it, please. Which part, Jesus, would you like more clarification on, would be my question for you. And for others, put a few thought patterns or emotions into the chat that you are struggling with. And then as I begin to teach this practice, I will use those specific examples. I think that will be more helpful for all of you.
It's about your view about the emotions, that emotions as you see it, they don't exist.
Gotcha. Okay. Let's see. What more can I say about that? So I'm a Qigong practitioner, and so I dwell and study energy consistently. I'm also a professional dancer by trade. So I've been in my energy body, my physical body, my emotional body, and performing in all of those realms for my whole entire life. And what I've learned through that process, by way of example, Jesus, and maybe this will be the easiest way to explain. As a young dancer, ready to step onto stage and perform for thousands of people, I would get scared. I would get nervous. And over time, I began to learn through my teachers and my own experience that I could take that energy of fear and transmute it into a powerful presence on the stage. And over time, I learned that that energy of fear or anxiety or nervousness was just a frequency. It was just a vibration, and I could play with it. I could manipulate it. I could move it. I could make it something other than what it seemed to be. And so I came up with a practice for myself right before I stepped onto stage, where I would begin to gather energy from the universe, although I didn't have that language at the time. I'd gather universal energy or prana, and I would direct it and pull it into a line of energy right through my center core. So I was harnessing this fear, this anxiety that was bouncing all around, and I was gathering more universal power and connecting that with my own emotional offlet and bringing it into a very powerful, strong, focused stream of energy, of power. I'm not getting another word right now. And then I would step onto stage with that harnessed power. And what I've been told in my life as a dancer is that when I'm on stage, I'm one of those dancers, performers that people they look at. There might be 15 dancers on stage and the eyes go to me. And I'm not saying that out of pride. I'm just trying to explain that I would gather this energy. And then when I stepped out, I could then release that power out. And it was a felt sense by the audience. So if I had defined that energy only as an emotion, and identified with that emotion as who I am and all that I'm feeling, then I would not have been able to transmute that emotion into something else that could be used to create a powerful presence on stage. So that was the beginning, I believe, of my inquiry into what is emotion, and can we manipulate it? Can we, as alchemists, can we change it from this one form into a different form? We've all heard in romance that on the opposite sides that come back together is love and hate. You love someone passionately, and all of a sudden the breakdown happens and the breakup and perhaps the divorce, and now there's hate for that person. Or that extreme opposites attract. You cannot stand a particular way of being, but all of a sudden you're attracted to it for some reason, and there's love. And these emotions tend to wrap around and meet because they're just pure energy. And so thought is also energy. The science is now proving that. There's I won't even go into it. There's so much research around thought patterns and what we think will manifest and why is that. We send that thought pattern, that energy forth. So with emotion, if we recognize that we have a thought pattern And if it's backed up by our life experience, and if it's a negative emotion, let's say, if it's backed up by a life experience that has a negative or a scary or a challenging or a sad or a traumatic association, we're going to be feeding that emotion. It's going to grow bigger, denser, more challenging. And then our biology, our hormones kick in to make it feel ever more real. So it's those three things, the thought, the biology, and the past experience that come together and creates this thing called an emotion. When it's a positive emotion, it's dopamine that gets off-let. It's a memory or a teaching that, let's say riding a roller coaster, for instance, is really great. It's really fun. You're going to have an awesome time. And if you've had that teaching, you're going to get on that roller coaster and you're going to have an emotional reaction. There's going to be dopamine. There's going to be the thought first that this roller coaster ride is going to be so much fun. Another person may get on that roller coaster with the thought, this roller coaster is going to kill me. I'm going to die. And they're going to have a very different hormonal response to that ride. Same ride, two different experiences. And that happens in all the different experiences that are available to us in the life. I hope that helps. There's a few comments. Let's see if you all have been able to give some more clarity. Yvonne says, I have fear I'm trying to work through regarding judgment, as this is paralyzing me for certain things like career shift. Always was the underemployed because of this. Yeah. Procrastination, stage fright that leads to shutting down rather than opening into presence, lack of motivation for something that has always been super important to me. Yeah, fear will do that. Certain situations only, lack of confidence. This is new for me, but I'm interested in where to go with all of this. Great. Fu says a public example of how Taylor Swift has successfully transferred her emotions into her art of music. How do we transmute our emotions to put into our own version of success? Yes, I'm going to teach you how to do that tonight. Diana, anxious habits and feelings of unworthiness, imposter, with more than a smattering of perfectionism. All that perfectionism. I have it too. I've had it too. I'm working with it all the time. How to transform past trauma into present power, joy, and wonder. Yes, this is going to help you do that also tonight. It's perfectionism that I struggle with. I fear judgment if I don't do it perfectly. Okay, great, beautiful. Jesus, I hope I've answered your question. If not, just be in touch with me and we'll go into it deeper, more personally. So let me share with you this practice. All of those things that you're struggling with, I struggle with on that spectrum to varying degrees, as we all do. Missy said the other day, we're all in this together. Yes, we're all in this together. We all have all of these challenges at one point in life or another and to varying degrees. So what I do know is that this technique can handle all of them. Whatever you're coming with, you can use this one technique. So the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is just close your eyes, and I'm going to introduce you to a few aspects of the meditation and visualization that we're going to use tonight. With the eyes closed, just begin to breathe in through the nose and in through the mouth. And allow this breath pattern to bring you into a state of relaxation. On your exhale, relaxing your shoulders and your back. Soften your jaw, soften behind your eyes. Easy in the inner ear. As you exhale, relax your belly. Feel yourself heavily sitting in your chair or on your cushion. Sense a weightedness in your legs and through your feet. Let your arms hang heavy at your sides or in your lap. And let your fingers be relaxed, your toes relaxed, your heartbeat. relaxed, slow, easy, gentle. And as you inhale, sense the energy within the air. The air is carrying oxygen absolutely for our physical body, for our blood, for our muscles, our tissues, our cells. But it's also carrying this universal life force known as prana. A universal energy of which we can avail ourselves to at any time. The type of energy that streams toward the earth from our sun, from our central sun. So as you inhale, allow yourself to sense that you're drawing in a vitality, a nourishment, an energy that gives life to your own internal life force. And then on your exhale, begin to release anything you no longer need to carry. Distraction of the mind, let it go on your exhale. Heaviness of heart, let it go on your exhale. Physical pain or tension in your body, let it go on your exhale. A stagnant or fatigued energy, let it go on your exhale. And in place of all of those variables, inhale and receive energy, receive love, receive universal light, receive wisdom, receive curiosity and wonder and awe and beauty and joy. Invite it in intentionally. My teachers say that the masters are simply waiting for us to ask for what we need. So we'll begin this practice with a simple ask. And you'll ask in your own way to your own guides or guardian angels or God or spirit or by whatever name you call your own internal higher self and the higher self or purpose of this universe. Just internally simply ask. Please come and help with my dissolving of the interior ego tonight. And as you make this ask, I'm going to guide you to 3 aspects of your internal higher self that we'll use to help us dissolve our procrastination and our fear and our unworthiness and our lack of confidence. And the first aspect resides within the third eye. The third eye is located between the eyebrows and back in toward the brain, around the level of the pituitary gland. So bring your inner focus to that point within your mind, that point of light within the pituitary gland, which we call the inner third eye, and gaze, this third eye gaze into that point of light within your mind. And recognize that that point of light is the point of your internal wisdom. In this particular practice and lineage, it's also referred to as your internal father. The internal aspect of yang, of masculine, in the form of the active, the dynamic. That aspect of yourself that is the doing expression of the life. And as you reside within the third eye, begin to feel that you're residing with your internal wisdom. All the experience and knowledge that you've accumulated in this lifetime, and perhaps for many lifetimes. And recognize that that internal wisdom can be known by you as your internal father, so that you can create a relationship with your wisdom, with your light, with your internal sun, with your internal radiance. that is active and dynamic. So introducing you to your internal father. And now bring your concentration down into what I call the temple of your heart, into your heart center or into your heart chakra. And here I introduce you to your internal mother, residing with the heart, within the heart center as your love, as your intuition. She who gives nourishment in your simply beingness, your yin, your receptivity, your stillness. Feel your heartbeat. Hear your heartbeat. Come into relationship, into communion, if you will, with this very special aspect of your internal higher self called your love, the vibration of your love, the frequency of your love. Known as your internal mother, so that there's this sense that you can really truly create relationship with your love, from where not only your self-love extends, but your love for all else extends. Your partner, your children, this planet Earth, your work, your passion, your home. And within this temple of the heart, where your internal mother resides, I want you to use your creative imagination and visualize an altar upon which a fire is burning. It's a purifactory fire, which all fire is. Fire purifies. If you put something into the fire, it burns beyond all recognition. It purifies. It changes. It's an alchemist energy, fire is. It transmutes one form into another. If I put into this fire wood or paper or anything at all, it will transmute it into a different form called ash. So this is a powerful aspect that we're going to use to dissolve our ego. Our ego, as we get into this work, is going to go into this fire. So it's very important that you can visualize this fire burning within the temple of your heart. And then lastly, I want to bring your attention and your felt sense to the base of your spine. And within your sacrum, at the base of your spine, there's an energy source known by the ancient cultures and the current traditions as well as Kundalini, as our internal life force. In Christianity, known as the Holy Spirit. But it is our creative energy. It's an energy that not only creates life, but creates art, creates our work, creates our attitudes and our perspective. And it resides sleeping, in sleeping consciousness, if you will, coiled 3.5 times like a serpent within our coccyx, below the sacrum. And I'd like you now to direct your breath down all the way to the base of your spine on your inhale. And we're going to bring a little energy, a little universal prana into our interior life force at the base of the spine. And again, use your creative visualization and sense an energy or a violet light or steam rising from the base of the spine, up the spine, ascending vertebra by vertebra, up and into the crown of the head. If you can feel a sensation of the Kundalini rising, beautiful. If you can only just imagine it at this time, beautiful. You might see a violet color, but you might see some other color or sparks of light. You might feel a warmth or a heat or a tingling sensation. moving up your spine. You may not feel or see any of that, and I would ask you to just simply imagine that something is happening. On the level of biology, you may know the work of craniosacral body work. We know that through the spine is moving fluid, synovial fluid. So we know that, in fact, there is energy moving, ascending and descending up and down the spine. And if we can come into our most subtle body, we can begin to feel the motion and the movement of those waters, those internal waters, that fluid. But moving that fluid is energy, supported by our nervous system. So see if you can sense the energy, the vibration, the fluid. See or sense the color of light as it ascends up your spine. Be with that, continue to breathe with that for a moment as I actually stoke the real fire here in the room. All right, beautiful. So go ahead and open your eyes now and just stay in this soft, easy breath. And just let me know in the chat, were you able to connect with any of those aspects? The internal father is wisdom, the internal mother is love, the creative life force within your own personal power within the spine, within the vertebra. Did you have a sense of those aspects, all three or some, or do you have a question about any of those three aspects? We're going to need those aspects as I teach you now how to work with the ego and dissolve it. Not sure if any, and if you want to unmute yourself, if it would be easier to ask rather than type, please feel free to do that as well. All right. So how about this direction? Type yes if you have wisdom. Do you have wisdom? Type yes if you have love. Type a yes if you have creativity, if you have some life force, some energy. Jesus says, yes, yes, yes. I just feel more energy movement. Yes, good. Yes, says Gabby. Good. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Felt all, especially coming up the spine. Beautiful. So one of the first things we really need to know about ourselves, the philosophers say, know yourself, know the universe, first know yourself. If we're going to work deeply with our fear, with these really challenging egos, we might have some trauma that has really created some anger or, the whole spectrum. The first thing we need to be able to lean into is the fact that we have a tremendous amount of wisdom and love and creative energy at our disposal at any moment. We are beings created with this resplendent light, this resplendent power called love and wisdom and power. And whenever we're feeling a lack of confidence or a need, whether conscious or unconscious, to self-sabotage, the first place we want to go is back to our internal wisdom, love, and power. Because those aspects of the ego, my teacher calls them tricky trickers. Tricky trickers. Your lack of confidence is just tricking you. And it's very tricky. It feels very real. You really don't feel confident, really. However, who you really are is this power of your love and your wisdom. That's who you really are, but we forget. And the wheel of samsara, this spinning, 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 is this forgetting, that in fact, we are beings full of light, full of love. And we're here to be creative. We're here to create moment by moment. Every word, every thought, every book we write or dance we make or song we compose or what's the word? Spreadsheet that we create for our business or for our boss. All of this creative energy, that's who we are. We're creative beings. In the Bible, it says we were created in the image of God, and it says God is creator. Now, all the traditions say that. I just use Christianity because I have some of that in my background. But all the traditions tell us that we are creators and that we have love and we can tap into universal love, and we have wisdom and we can tap into universal wisdom. We can also, of course, share intellectual wisdom and knowing and facts between ourselves. But who we are at our core is these three aspects, this Trinity as one and this one as three. We are wisdom, love, and power in this one vessel. Plagued then by unfortunate circumstances, poor training growing up, all kinds of other experiences that create our insecurity and our fears. So the first path on the path is back internally to who you actually are. And if you can first come back into your knowing, it's called the self-remembering. My teacher says to walk in self-remembering moment by moment. If we can walk every single moment of every single day, remembering that we're wisdom, love, and power, our days are going to unfold very differently. Now, what we're working on tonight is all those other things that jump in and we forget that we're wisdom, love, and power. And we think we're lazy, or we think we're horrible people, or we think we're ugly, or we think we're all of these things. We think we're being judged by others. We think on and on and on and on. Those are the things that we want to dissolve, we want to eradicate, we want to get rid of so that we can stay in the self-remembering. We can continue to walk every moment in our light. So I would like for you to identify one ego, very specific. Specificity is really important. One ego that you would like to dissolve tonight. You don't have to share it. You might want to share it later. Doesn't matter, but choose one specific ego that you would like to dissolve, or at least begin dissolving tonight. The ego is like this black mass. If you were to imagine an onion, a black onion. And when we begin to dissolve that ego, we begin to peel it layer by layer. Each time we come to this Hamsa practice, we're going to peel a layer or 2 or 5 or 50 until we have peeled all of the layers, dissolved all the layers, and all that's left is emptiness. And what is within the emptiness is pure light. That what the virtue of the soul, which is an extension of our wisdom and our love and our power. So we have one, Jesus, thank you for just jumping in, self-doubt. So since you offered that, I'm just going to use those words, but for all the rest of you, you're going to replace the word self-doubt with whatever ego it is you're working on, okay? So I hope you're all with me. Raise your hand. A few of you I can see on my screen. Raise your hand. Are you with me? You tracking? Am I articulate? Okay, good. All right, good. All right, everybody's with me. Good. So the ego, this is important fact. We're going to call it a fact, important piece of the puzzle. These egos, the self-doubt, and implant your own word, the self-doubt lives in the mind. Doesn't live necessarily in reality, but it lives within the illusion of the mind. The ego resides in the mind because it's a thought. It's a thought pattern, becomes a habitual thought pattern over time. So it lives within the realm of the mind. It doesn't live within the realm of the heart. It lives within the mind. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that ego of self-doubt from the mind, and we're going to bring it from the mind into those fires of the heart that I was talking about earlier. But there's a way that we need to do that to make it really potent, really powerful. It's really hard to bring something like self-doubt, especially if we've had it for much of our life. It's really hard to take that journey from the mind into the heart. The ego itself won't want to take the journey. We become familiar or comfortable with these challenging emotions and aspects of ourselves. That's who we know ourselves to be, until we remember who we really are, which we've already remembered tonight. So, Michelle, any deep-seated lack of confidence and or self-doubt holding me back in any way? Great, beautiful. So self-doubt also. So now we're going to use these three aspects. We're going to use the help of the breath, the power of the universe, because it's much greater power than our own personal power. If we could have done it for ourselves, we would have done it already. We've all been working on all these aspects for a long, long time, right? We've all been trying to eradicate our self-doubt and our lack of confidence and our fear for a long time. We need the help and the power of the universe. So we're going to use that. And we're going to use this mantra, Ham Sak. H-A-M, but it's pronounced Ham Sak. And you can say that out loud because none of us can hear you. Make sure you're on mute, everyone, please. Ham. Okay. Now, when you inhale, kind of breathy, kind of under your breath, but still audible. I'm going to demonstrate. You're going to inhale. You're bringing in the breath and vocalizing Ham. You're taking that universal energy through that hum all the way down to the base of your spine, because that's where your creative power is. You're going to connect the power of the universe with your own internal life force at the base of the spine on hum. It's going to draw it in. Then you're going to hold your breath. And as you hold the breath, that energy, that power is going to rise up the spine. It's going to grab hold of that ego that's in the mind, and it's going to bring it into your third eye. You're still holding your breath. That will take practice to hold for a long time, but you'll also get really fast at this. You're going to hold that ego at your third eye, and you're going to let your internal father shine his light of wisdom upon that ego. It might just be shining light on the darkness. Or there might be a question you have about that ego that your father can answer, your wisdom, your internal wisdom could answer. Or it may be at some point that your inner wisdom says, oh yeah, that's not self-doubt. It's something deeper than self-doubt. You think it's self-doubt, but there's something underlying the self-doubt that actually needs to be dissolved. So you're going to take a moment and let your internal wisdom light shine upon that ego. Then on your exhale, you're going to suck. That suck is pulling or pushing that ego down into the fires of the heart. And you're going to visualize that ego, that self-doubt in the fire burning. And your love, your mother, if you will, is presiding over this ritual, over this ceremony. With no judgment, in total compassion, and in total aid and support of your taking this journey from ego to valor. Once you have experienced the burning of this ego, the dissolving of the ego, you're going to take a cleansing breath cycle. Just an inhale and an exhale. And as you take that breath cycle, just feel yourself a little lighter, a little liberated. It might not be completely gone, that ego, but it's a little bit dissolved anyway. And then you're going to begin again. Hum. Bring the universal life force to the base of the spine. Hold the breath. That power is going to come up. You need that power to grab that ego and bring it to the light. That ego does not want to come into the light. It doesn't want to. It's going to fight you. So use that power to bring it to the light and ask your Father to shine light upon it. Wisdom. What is it? What is it about this self-doubt? What is it? And then when you're ready to exhale, it goes into the fire and you pause the breath and you watch it burn. You feel it burn. You experience this challenge dissolving. It's being eliminated from who you perceive yourself to be. When you must breathe again, just relax. Inhale, exhale, and feel yourself a little lighter, a little bit more liberated. Okay, here we go. I'm going to share my screen. I have a diagram. I'm going to talk you through it, but you're also going to be able to see the diagram if you get a little lost. So your inhale on the hum to the base of the spine. Up you go as you hold the breath. You're going to shine light on that ego, and on the sak, it's going to come down into the temple of the heart where it's going to burn. You're going to inhale, exhale, just feel freedom, and then we'll repeat. So close your eyes. Just relax, feel yourself surrounded in safety. And ask one more time your internal Father, Mother, God, your internal wisdom, love, and power to assist you in dissolving your ego. Your commitment, your choice to do this work is essential to the transformation. And then all together we'll inhale on hum. And bringing it to the base of the spine, hold your breath. The power's rising up the spine, taking your ego from the mind to the light of your wisdom. Hold it there. Hold your breath. See or hear or know or sense or just simply be with the light. Exhale on sak. Sak. Put that ego into the fire on the altar of the heart. Watch it burn. Use your creative imagination. Feel it burn, watch it burn, know that it's burning. And then breathe. Inhale, exhale, and just be free. Be free of that self-doubt. And let's go again. Hum. Pause the breath. Feel the power rising. Use that power to take your ego to your light. Just simply shine light on the darkness. Just simply doing that is enough. Now exhale. Put that self-doubt in the fire. Let it burn. You're done with it. It doesn't serve you. Maybe it served you in the past, survival. It doesn't serve you anymore. And relax. Breathe, inhale. Exhale. You're just a little bit more free of that self-doubt. And again, hum. Inhale. From the base of the spine, feel the power, the light, the surge of energy rising, taking that ego to your light. Shine some wisdom on your ego. Where there's light, there cannot be darkness. Exhale. Put that ego into the fire. Burn it. Choose to be done with it. Choose that you are not that any longer. And then inhale. Exhale, and don't be that any longer. Be your wisdom, be your love, be your lightness of heart, be your energy. Again, inhale, hum. Feel the energy rise. Take the ego, shine light upon it. Exhale, sak. Put it into the fire. See it burn, feel it burn. Release yourself from the bondage of that ego. Inhale, exhale, be free. Again, inhale, hum. Hold the breath, lift the power. Move the ego to the light. Be in the presence of your wisdom. Exhale. Put that ego into the fire. Inhale, exhale, be free. And now continue in the timing of your own breath rhythm, guided by your own tempo that's comfortable. Hum is the inhale, pause the breath. Sak is the exhale, pause the breath. And take one more round from wherever you are right now in the cycle, finish it, and then take one more pass of humps. And come back present to me. If a few of you would be so willing to share about that experience for yourself, unmute yourself and come on up. Who would like to share? Vicky? Diana? Yes, please, Diana, come on up. Let me ask you to unmute.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hey, cool. I have a lot of power. But anyway, I was working with the artist imposter ego. I in my life vision, I see myself as an artist, a famous artist, and I'm not there yet. But I think the what was really powerful in this experience was dissolving the artist imposter syndrome that says like I'm never going to be the best, so why try? You you're never you, there's always going to be somebody better than you.
You went mute.
Sorry.
The last we heard is there's always going to be someone better than you. What did you say after?
Yeah, so there's always going to be somebody better than you. You will fail, or what if you fail? And so what started happening is that the first couple of rounds were really difficult to 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 break up, but then I started hearing these excuses and these reasons to to stay in the shadow. And I felt this other very powerful voice that said, well, if I fail, then at least I'll show my children what it's like to try. And, oh, well, you're never going to be the best. Well, then I'll always have room to grow. And I'll always be learning new things. And that's the fun part anyway. So I'll always have something new to share. And so that was the part that was really powerful, because it just kept like this, the inner wisdom was just showing me these shadowy things. And I'm just like, no, that's not a thing. And so it is, it's very free. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. That's beautiful. So this is the liberation of your love, the love for your children, the love for just the act of creating your art. You know, we begin as artists, you know, as a dancer, just because I loved to dance, not because I wanted to be famous. Later,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So you're dissolving those egos. Of the 7 deadly sins I talked about earlier, I would recognize that as pride. You want to be the best.
Yeah.
What if you're not famous, right? What if
Yeah.
other people think this, or your kids think, or what, right? This is pride, which masks your love, your passion, who you can be just as a beautiful example for your children, because your pride is mastering this journey rather than your love guiding you along the way.
Yeah. I never
Beautiful.
saw it as pride before. I never saw it as pride before. That's interesting.
Isn't it? But it is,
you're right.
It is that, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have
Thank you.
egos that are a combination of multiple of these 7 deadly sins and in variations. So we don't always need to break it down to just one. There are some that are a combination of several egos kind of all mushed together. But when we start doing this, just exactly what happened for you, Diana, our inner wisdom will start. If we stay with it, it's going to be hard. Like I said, those egos, they don't want to die. They don't want us to give death to that death. You know, they want to live, they want to thrive. But as we work our way through it, we'll start to see these underlying shadows, these underlying patterns. Then if we keep working it, we're going to start to liberate the underlying light, the underlying love, the underlying joy, the underlying soul, the underlying passion. That's beautiful. Well done, Diana. Really beautiful. Anyone else can share an experience or have a question about that practice? Is it on, Lynn? Ask to unmute. I'm going to ask you to unmute.
Hi, yeah. So I'm a musician, and I'm a classical musician. And so I've been struggling with my thing was the stage fright one. But it's about not being able to connect with my sense of creation and joy. Mainly through an overdose of perfectionism and pride and just plain old fear. And so it was interesting because I kind of, I don't know if I chose something that was too broad, just in dealing with fear, because it's such a huge, if you want to call it onion, there's many, many layers there. But even starting to work on that, I thought what was interesting is that none of it came out as verbal things, but very much as visual things. And I could feel my energy shifting. And the interesting thing is, in the beginning, I would get to the top of in the third eye, and bringing it there would make me start to tear up, like just to, not even just crying, but just the reaction of having this release going on. And also I felt like I had a yawn all the time. So that was just an odd physical reaction. But I think what was interesting to me by the end is that the fires that were burning in my heart were changing color also as this thing started to shrivel more and more. So just on repetitive go arounds. But yes, it definitely is a liberating and beautiful experience. So thank you.
My pleasure. Yeah, it's such beautiful awareness of all of those aspects happening for you, that, you know, when we cry, just shed tears, you know, not in weeping, but it's an opening for a release of energy. Absolutely. And the changing of color, you know, color's vibration. So that's showing you that the vibration, the frequency of the energy is shifting, is changing as you're working. Um, the one question that I would have for you, can either answer or you could just simply consider, is I would, as a performer myself and as a coach, my first question is, what are you doing before you sit down to your music, whether on stage in front of others or with yourself, to connect with your wisdom, love, and creative power before you begin to play? Do you have a ritual? Do you have a way to commune with that music, which is simply an extension of your own internal music, before you play it?
I used to, I think, especially as a kid, I didn't need some sort of ritual, and I feel like I've lost that. And so that is what's really hard, because it used to be just an absolutely natural outgrowth of who I am. And now I feel like it's at such a distance and such remove and behind a wall. And so that is really what I'm struggling with the most. So to
Yeah.
answer your question, do I have a ritual? I need one.
Yeah. Yeah. So use this one, just the beginning. You can do the ego dissolution also
Yep.
before you play, because it will clear so much before you begin to play. But if you just begin to come back into the presence, this wisdom, love, and power, that this is the aspect of our internal higher self. This is our internal bliss. This is our God. This is our inner God. And if you can recreate relationship, when we're children, that relationship, we are just with that relationship all the time. It's why kids are so free and full of wonder and curiosity. And, they'll just play a violin squeaky, or they'll sing, or they'll dance, or they'll just do all kinds of things. And there's no sense of, is it right or wrong? Or am I doing it good? Or other people watching? They're just wide open. Yeah. And that's because they haven't lost this connection, and it hasn't been, tamped down and like overrun with ego, which is pride and self-consciousness. And maybe somebody told us that we got that one note wrong, and then that meant to us that we're a terrible musician because we played one note wrong, rather than thinking, oh, that's where I get to practice and improve that one note, whatever it is, like all this stuff the mind does. So I would just throw out there to you, just take time to come back into the presence of that beautiful innocence, who you still are in a grown-up body. And let that lead you, and that will lead you into whatever ritual, extended ritual beyond that, would be best for you as you sit at the piano.
Right.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Oh, thank you. Let me see if there's a few things come up in the chat. Yvonne, I never thought of perfectionism as pride before tonight. Yeah, that one's always an aha for sure. I'm not doing things I love because I'm not able to do them perfectly. So I'm depriving myself of my own creativity. Yes, you are. Indeed. And this inner child that I was just speaking about is really just patiently waiting for you to get out of the way, Yvonne, so that she can be free and play and be creative. And, think about all the times we just got finger paint and just did this on a piece of paper, and it was just a blast. And it didn't matter what it looked like at the end, or if somebody bought the painting, or we just played. And as adults, we lose that sense of play. As adults, we play in many ways, and those are all good ways, but we have lost much of that innocent, free, liberated form of play that allows us to remain not self-conscious. And then our creativity, however we direct that creativity, music, dance, work, engineering, whatever it is, parenting, it flows so easy, so effortlessly. And we know when creativity flows effortlessly, other people are profoundly moved by it. And when someone is profoundly moved by your creativity, then they buy the ticket to the concert, or they purchase the book that you wrote, or the product that you made, because It's so beautiful and free and open and powerful that they cannot help but want to feel that with you. So all our fear about, will other people like it or buy it or come to my show? If you can drop that and get back into communion with that innocent power, that pure light, and let that radiate out, others will come because they want to be in the sphere of your influence. They want to be in your aura, in your energy. They want to hear the vibration of your music. They want to, because you are so fully, passionately, beautifully, and pure, just purely in it. All right. If anyone has anything else they want to share, please put it in the chat. I'm going to share my screen. And a last few thoughts. I'm notorious, some of you know, for going over. I'm already 3 minutes over. Once I start teaching, I just keep going. But we're just going to go through last few thoughts. And then those of you who would like to stay, I'd be happy to take any questions or final thoughts. Real quickly, when to practice Hamsak. This is important. As a beginner, if this is brand new to you, at the end of your day, take a moment and self-observe. Look at your day, look at yourself throughout the day. Choose one very specific ego. Yes, the more specific you can be, the more effective. Fear is indeed really, really, really big and broad. If you can be very specific and just work with that ego right before you go to bed, you'll begin your training in this practice. And you're also transmuting as well. You're night by night, day by day, you're going to begin to eliminate that ego that you're working on. But only choose one that manifests during the day. Don't choose one from 10 years ago. Try to be of the moment, what's really happening in the life that day. Once you've done that for a time, you feel pretty confident with the flow of this practice. Then throughout your day, in the moment, when you feel an ego rise, a little bit of judgment for somebody else, or a little bit of self-consciousness or insecurity, or a little bit of frustration or anger, or some lustiness or neediness, or you really want to eat that third piece of cake, a little gluttony, rather than just letting it be. In the moment, do the Hamsak practice. You might excuse yourself to another room, or when I was practicing in the early days, I was excuse myself and go to the bathroom. If I was in a confronting kind of conversation with someone and I could feel my emotions rise, I would just excuse, I just got to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. And I'd actually go Hamsak. And then I would come back really different, present, and able to be in the conversation without emotion and combativeness and defensiveness. So once you've practiced that for a while, then you'll be at a place, and this is when it gets super, super hyper magical. The advanced practice is in the moment, the emotion comes up. You can't excuse yourself from the moment. It's happening right now. You do one breath. And it's gone. And you're done. And you're free. And you're into the next moment. You're into the next thing. And nobody has to hear the Hamsak. I just did it there. You didn't hear anything. I just took that breath. But all of the energy and the intention and the ask and everything that I had been practicing day after day after day, moment after moment after moment for so many years was all available to me in that moment, in that single practice. So that's how you begin. For those of you who are new to this, each night before bed, self-observe, choose one ego, and then start your practice. And see how that goes for you. And then a thought on, I won't be able to get deeply into this. Maybe next month we'll look at this a little more deeply. The path of responsibility versus the path of rights. The path of rights feeds your ego. I have a right to be angry. Yes, you have a right to be angry. And then you have a responsibility to dissolve that anger because it's killing you and it's killing everybody else around you. See the difference? There are two pathways. The path of rights isn't necessarily wrong. Never feel that you have a right to an emotion. You always have a right to your emotions. But then follow that up with the responsibility to master that emotion so that you can thrive beyond all of your limitations. And those around you can be held in your love and in your wisdom, moment by moment. So just to touch on that tonight, because it's very important. So the path of responsibility is the journey of transmuting dark energy through your fear into light, into bliss. And it's very contagious. As you transmute, the world around you will want what you have gained: peace, serenity, optimism, playfulness, authentic happiness, fill in the blank, all the good stuff, eternal bliss. And I am going to, those of you who've been with me the last few times together know that I always have a downloadable PDF that's an excerpt from my book. And tonight I have something for you again, and it's got the Hamsak diagram. It's the part of my book called The Mental Detox. So this Hamsak is detoxing this mind, these thoughts, these emotions. And I'm just going to put this up in the chat. You can also reserve a copy of my book, join my email list. If you want some coaching with me, all those kinds of things, you can request those things, but it has nothing to do with getting the download. The download is free. And I'd very much love for you to have it if you would like it. So just click on that link there in the chat, and you can request the download, and it will just get emailed. It's on automation. It'll get emailed to you tonight. And it's got lots of information, and the practice and the way that I brought you through the practice is all there. This will be recorded. This will be available to you also on the Lifebook platform. So if you want to go back and just, listen to my guiding you through that practice and bringing you into your internal father, mother power, and then taking you through Hamsak, you can repeat it as many times as you like till you feel like you really have it. So that's what I have for you tonight. Michelle says, this is so kind. Thank you for another beautiful offering, Diana. Michelle, you're welcome. Thank you so much for being here. It means the world to me that all of you came to receive. I tell my couples, I work with couples, and I have a couples workshop, and I train them around, if you want your beloved to feel really loved, receive them, receive their gifts, their compliment, or a gift they have, or their hug, or their embrace. We often feel that love is about giving, giving, giving. But if you've ever given to someone that didn't receive you, it feels like they don't love you. So all of you coming to receive tonight feels a whole lot like love to me. And I really appreciate it. And I receive you. And I'm just so thrilled that you've been able to receive these gifts that were given to me by my teacher. So I pass them on to you. And I love you, and I wish you nothing but the best. And I'll stay on for a few more minutes if anybody would like to chat or have a question. Esther, thank you, Diana. Any chance you have a link to last time's recording, please? Yes, I actually put it up on the Lifebook platform, I think just yesterday or maybe even earlier today. It wasn't up before, but Cosmic Sun is up on the Lifebook platform, the recording. So go back in time on the events into the past, find Cosmic Sun, and the recording link is there. So true about receiving. Thank you so much for this. You're welcome, Diana. And Janet, thank you. You're welcome, Janet. Michelle, oh, great. I accidentally missed that one. Good, Michelle. I'm glad you get to go back to that. Esther, thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome, Esther. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much for the session. You're welcome, Carrie. Thank you for being here. Anyone who would like to unmute yourself, please do. I'll just read these until they seem to not be coming in any longer, and then I'll close out our Zoom. All right. You can't unmute. Oh my goodness. Oh, I don't know why I have it set that you can, but I will ask you to unmute and see if that works better. There you are. Did that work?
Yes, thank you so much. I enjoyed very much. I love your enthusiasm, your sharing, and your energy. Love it, love it, love it. I was a little late, so I didn't catch the video. Do you have the link for it?
I do. Yeah. Somebody asked about that earlier. Let me put that right in. It will also be on the video and life book, but I can give you the link directly to the video as well. Let me put that in the chat right now. Thank you for that reminder. There
Okay,
you
great.
go.
And is there a story to the video? What about this video?
This video is an excerpt from I'm writing 2 books, and that excerpt is from, it's a divinatory card deck that I'm writing based on the teachings of my Inca teacher, my Peruvian teacher who's of Inca lineage. It's a combination of esoteric science and indigenous wisdom and the way of the Inca, the way of the mystery school of Machu Picchu, and the mystery schools that were present around the world in ancient times. And so that excerpt on the Wheel of Samsara is from that book that I'm working on right now. And my other book, the excerpt that you're getting tonight, if you want that downloadable, is from the book that will be released hopefully in April. It's my editing. It's all, I was hoping it'd be released by the end of February, but we're looking at April. So we're in editing, and so that video are my words from my book, and my assistant put some images, and then we kind of collaborated. And we're not professional videographers, so it's no award-winning video, but it hopefully, visually brings the message through the words.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thanks for being here. Good. And Michelle's saying good night, lovelies, or good morning, depending on where you are. Yes, me too. The energy is pure beauty. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Jesus. Anyone else like to come up before we close? Vicky, you want to come up? All right. Let me ask you to unmute. I'm just going to ask all to unmute. Maybe that will work too. All right, come on up, Vicky. Did that work?
There, it worked. Yes.
There we
yes.
go. Hi.
I'd like hello. Once again, it's been wonderful.
Thank you.
I finally did get to watch both water ones, and they're great.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good.
So as of today, you asked me if I wanted to say anything. I wasn't finished. Which is why I did not respond. One of the things I've discovered with my breathing, I have a longer inhale and a longer exhale. I found this out in yoga. I found this out with Arya's meditations. I found it out tonight with you. And it could be that I've been doing yogic type breathing for many, many years. And so, when you were taking us through the Hamsa, you would be starting on a new one, and I wouldn't have been finished the one before.
Yes.
Same with you, Anlin. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it wasn't until you set us free, so to speak, that I was able to really do my own rhythm. And I have a very strong felt sense because I've worked with energy for a long time. And I was getting to feel very strongly it coming up, the Kundalini coming up and coming in to the third eye region, and then coming down into the heart. And it was beautiful, beautiful. And each time I became lighter and lighter and lighter, and the joy was coming in. I was doing a combination of self-doubt and procrastination, because procrastination is something that I'm looking at right now. And I thought, maybe that comes into self-doubt. So I'll put them both in.
Beautiful.
And I'm going to continue with that, because I find that it's going to be very powerful, particularly when I can get to that stage of what you said, the advanced stage, when you're in a situation, all done, all fixed. That sounds like a great plan.
It is a great plan. Yes, I love it.
So thanks again.
Mm.
It's I am thoroughly enjoying your teachings now that I started at the beginning with the mystery school one and then finally caught up on water before today. And I was late today because I was out walking, but I'll catch up with the first part. So it's great. Thanks ever so much. And I'll probably see you next month. And I will respond to some of your emails too.
Okay, great. Wonderful.
I would love to participate in what you do, but I live in Australia.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm moving more and more into the Zoom virtual world. So there's all kinds of possibilities already
Even
now.
moon lodges. You do moon lodges by Zoom?
Well, you know, it's coming. I've started recording parts of them, and I'm going to start sharing at least the teaching part, the parts of me teaching, and some of the music and the songs that are coming through, the honor songs of the women. And I'm just starting to feel what is what is the most sacred way that I can do this through through this virtual world, and really honor the women who are here, live and in person, and also honor those who are not here in the sacred ceremonial circle, and still have it be a sacred space, however you're into it. And that part is really important to me because it is a ceremony, it is a ritual, the Moon Lodge. So if invite folks in virtually, I need to be sure that I can hold that container as well. So but I am working on it, but I do want to get some of the teachings of the Moon Lodge, because those ancient women, the women's teachings are they're so needed. They're so needed. And for 21 years, we've been gathering every month, and for more women to have access to the teachings of our grandmothers. Is really, so I'm working on that.
Oh, that's really good, because you also spoke about the teens and then women and then the elders. And as you were speaking within that with water, I have felt an anger within me about something, and I have a feeling that I was not, to use the word, initiated when I was 14. And there's a sense of loss within that. And so when I was listening to some of your comments in the sacred water, I was getting some answers. So to me, it was very powerful. And I would like to go further, whether I start off as a teen and then go through the ceremonies. I'm not planning on coming to the States anytime in the near future.
Maybe tonight you're not, but maybe that'll change. But Vicki, I don't remember if I talked about it during those water presentations, but I do have women. I have a beautiful woman. She must be in her late 60s, I would guess, who this year she did the child rite of passage in December. She just did the maiden rite of passage, which happens in March. So, she's been in menopause for years, but she has some loss around that time in her life, was never honored, never went through that initiation. She stood in the center of that circle, and she just wept. And by the end of her initiation, and she received her red shawl of the maiden, and she was blessed, and all that happens in that ceremony. By the end, Vicki, her smile, her glow, and then she sang her honor song, which is, we each sing our honor song for an initiation, but then we sing for each other. We sing your honor song for you. And she began to sing her honor song, and the power coming through her her whole being, not just her voice, but her whole body. And then we were all singing her song with her. And she stepped out of that circle, and she'll never be the same. She told me she'll never be the
Yeah.
same.
Yeah.
So
How wonderful.
yeah, incredible. So I've had many, many women over the years go back all the way to their child ritual and then do their maiden and then do their mother. We have mother coming up in June, and I've got many women who were never, they had baby showers for the baby with some kind of ritual initiation, but there was no honoring of the huge transformation of life that happens when you become a mother. Your body,
Yeah.
your identity, your focus, your hormones, your sexuality, everything changes. And because we don't have a moon lodge in which we go to every month, we don't have these examples and these stories from the elder women amongst us. So we come into that time of mothering, and we don't know what's going to change. And maybe it's scary or this or that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we weren't honored for the power of being a creator.
Yeah.
Someone didn't put a blue shawl around us and said, you have created new life. This is both a responsibility and a high honor. Bless you. And then sing your song for you while you just receive this incredible blessing, so it's just, the moonlight, it's powerful work. And
Yeah. Yeah.
I just love that you're connecting with it, and I'll help you get some or all of it as best I can, even if you never come here. So let's just keep talking and see how we can make that available for you.
It's quite possible there may be others in the same boat, so to speak.
Yeah. And if you know others in your area, gather the women.
There's not a lot of Australians that are in Lifebook.
Yeah, call me up. If you all can't travel to me, I'll just come travel to you, and we can do a weekend retreat, and we can go through the 4 rites of passage through the course of the weekend. And, we can really attend. It's such a need. It's a need, and we can attend to this need.
I believe that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
Diana said, oh my God, yes, I just had 2 babies in the last 3 years, bless you. And the depression aftermath almost killed me because I was so unprepared and unsupported. What are the moon lodges? So the Moon Lodge, traditionally, I have Native American ancestry, Lakota primarily, Santi, specifically Santi, actually, Dakota. But throughout the world, there's been red tents, moon lodges, menstrual huts, a place where women, when they started to bleed each month, would enter. They would be taken out of the ordinary chores and labor of the day-to-day life and given the opportunity to rest their body, to bleed, to purify in this natural rhythm each month, have food and nourishment brought to them, water brought to them. It's when we're in this cycle of our menses, it's a time when the veil between us and our intuition or ourselves and Great Spirit becomes very thin or very fine. And the reason for that is in our daily life, men and women, our energy is spiraling upward from the earth toward the sun, just like plants and trees. And, we're growing upwards toward the light, if you will. Our energy is spiraling upward. When we are on moon time, that spiral reverses for women. And we start to draw the power of the moon down through our body, through our uterus and menses into the earth. And we know that reverse of power happens. That's why the moon affects the oceans, the tides, the waters. So when our waters are flowing on our menses, on our period, the moon is moving powerfully down and through us. So our energy reverses. So women during their moon time were removed from the energy that had to be active and dynamic and cooking food and taking care of children and you know, what all the things that have to happen, ceremony, all the things that happen in the daily life. But the other thing that happens in that moon lodge, in addition to the rest and the nourishment that our body needs as women during those 4 to 7 days, is we would be sitting in the company of other women, younger women, older women, aunties and grandmothers in menopause, little ones, you know, that are nursing or coming in to see mama. And we would be learning what it means to be a woman. What are the responsibilities of womanhood at various stages throughout? And when we reached a certain age or a certain moment of the life, like our first menstrual period, there would be a gathering of family and community, of tribe, to honor that moment, because that girl is becoming a woman and will have a very different role in the tribe that is a necessary and needed role. And so she would be celebrated because it's an exciting, beautiful moment, this coming of age. And she would also be given the teachings of what her responsibilities are. So she feels very prepared then how to handle her sexuality, which is the beginning of handling pregnancy, becoming pregnant, which is the beginning of handling parenting and motherhood, which is the beginning of handling aging and menopause, which is the beginning of handling death. So there was this continuum of wisdom that was consistently being shared. Every time a woman began to bleed and would go into the moon lodge, she would be learning and learning. So when it was time for her to step into the center of the circle, as we call it, or receive that initiation, there was no fear because she had seen it done by her sisters, by her cousins, by her aunts, by her, you know, grandmothers, over and over and over. And the excitement that builds as you get close to your first period is very different. In the States, in the culture that I grew up in, especially certainly in my generation, it was shameful, it was dirty, you didn't tell anyone, no one really gave you any information. You know, you started bleeding, your pants were soiled, and you didn't even know where to get a pad, much less how to use it. And then that shameful moment colors your period every single month for the rest of your bleeding years.
Yep.
And in my culture, you have now these newer generations that are wanting to do sports and this and that, and they're starting to use birth control to regulate not only their sexual activity, but their sporting activity. And now women in their 30s are having fertility issues because they've been on birth control for so long. And women who are going to be moving toward menopause, and some already there, are having hormonal issues because they weren't initiated properly in full honor, but rather leaning into a medical model called PMS, and something's wrong with you, so you need a medication, or you need pain medication. Your body doesn't need pain medication. It needs to rest. It needs to lay down. It might need water or iron, like nourishment. There are so many things we could give our body and do for our energy during that menstruating time that would eliminate these emotional swings, or this PMS it's called. So I've had many women who have come into the circle, gone into this initiation, who had just life-altering periods. Like they couldn't work, they couldn't sit up in bed, they were bedridden for 3 days in pain. All of those symptoms disappeared because they came into a right relationship with this very natural, very beautiful, very feminine, very powerful flow of energy coming from the universe, from the moon through us to the earth, and knowing what to do when our energy reverses. And then we have our sons and our men who are around this moon lodge, who start to understand how to care for a woman when she is on her menstrual time. Rather than telling her that she's moody, you know, I'm being a little snarky, but just to make a point, rather than saying, sweetheart, you need to rest. You are bleeding right now. Let me take the kids this morning. Or I'll get some takeout, or I'll cook the meal, or, you know, let me recognize your need in this moment and take care of that, which then teaches the children in the home how to grow up in a way where you're really honoring one another in partnership, recognizing the biological cycles of life. And the brothers know how to take care of the sisters, and the sisters know how to ask for what they need. And my son grew up around the Moon Lodge, and to hear how he talks about being in relationship with the feminine is so different than his masculine peers. He knows when I'm on my moon time. It's an open conversation. He has a sensitivity around me during that time. We have open conversations. His wife is going to have a very different experience than the wives of many of his peers who don't know anything about what happens to a woman's body every single month. A man should know this if he's going to couple with a woman. What's happening to my woman every single month? I wanted my son to know that. And then if he has a daughter, I want him to know that he can bring her into a sacred space and honor her as she changes throughout her life. And that honoring of the masculine for women, for a woman to be seen by her father, her grandfather, her uncles, her husband, her son, in a way that says, you are powerful and you are beautiful and you are bleeding. What can I do? This is incredible. This is magic. Because of that, we can create children together. We can create life together. We can create a home together. You know, incredible. So that's the
beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. That's beautiful. I wish I had that growing up.
Yeah, likewise. Yeah.
Yeah, and I have some little girls now, well, they're not little, that have grown up through the Moon Lodge from inside the mama's womb. They're off to college and they've grown up and they've had the rites of passage all the way through. And when they become mothers, they'll be back. I know they'll come back and we'll be able to honor that rite of passage. And when they move into menopause, they'll come back and they'll get the crone rite of passage. But they grew up with it. And this was, for those of you who don't know or didn't hear my story, but when I went on Vision Quest, this was the vision that was given to me by Spirit to resurrect these ancient teachings and reawaken the Moon Lodge and bring it back to the women and especially to the next generations, especially the children. So I've been 21 years trying to do that to the best of my ability.
Thank you.
To you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Any other questions about that or anything else? Yeah. Diana, did you want to ask or say anything? It's great to see you, by the way. You came up on screen. Yeah. Oh, you're muted. Why does that keep happening? Hold on. Ask to unmute. Did that work?
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It was saying that it wouldn't let me unmute myself. So, not sure, but anyway, thank you for doing that work. And, I was wondering if there was a way to get into the moon, like, do you have a website or something that just talks about that part of your work?
I do. Let me see if I can pull it up. I'm not sure my website goes into that much depth that I just went into now. However, it will be a great place for you to start. And then I would just encourage you to reach out to me with questions, either through the Facebook platform or my email. You'll find all my information on the website. Let me get, there's two different pages on my website about the Moon Lodge, but I'm just going to give you this main page.
Okay.
Here's the link for that. And it lists each month is there's a theme for the Moon Lodge each month based on the seasons and the equinoxes and solstices and when we do the rites of passage. And you can just read those, and in your own life you can follow along, in whatever way. If you want to journal a little bit that month on that topic that you see there, if you want to just meditate and contemplate, if you want to reach out to me with a question, you can begin to just feel that rhythm. If you would like to do that.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Thanks.
Hmm.
Esther, anything you'd like to share tonight?
Oh, I'm unmuted. Well, yes and no. No. I'm working through stuff, so it was good. I enjoyed it. And I'm really tired. It's kind of late here. Well, it's past 11 and I seem to get tired every single time. I guess it's the meditation and get all relaxed and
Yeah. And it's
yeah.
a lot of energy too. It's a lot of information. And it's fatiguing on the mind, on the brain, on the energy when you're taking in.
I've been working intensely on stuff the last 2 weeks, so I can tell in the last few days I need to rest and just absorb.
Yeah, good. Well, thank you
Yeah.
for being here, even with the fatigue, just to receive
Oh no,
and
I appreciate you. I enjoy it.
good.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. It's good to see you again. Thanks for being
Well,
here.
good to see you. Yeah, sorry, I'm just not my usual, my energetic self. So it was great. Thanks.
My Qigong teacher says, accompany what is. So I accompany what is. You're just beautiful and wonderful to have you
thank
here.
you.
Just bring what you are in the moment, and it's perfect. It's just perfect.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right. Anyone else?
Okay.
Yvonne? Yeah, Vicky, was that you?
No, I was just about to say bye.
Bye. Bye, Vicky. More soon. Take care.
Will do. Bye,
Hey.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Yvonne asks, have you found the Moon Lodge reduces fertility issues? Well, yes, absolutely. It enhances fertility, I think is that the question?
Well, I
Fertility,
was just wondering because you were like psychologically, because when it's shameful and insists and the men know nothing about it, and we tried to, I mean, I'm 55, like you didn't talk about it.
right?
Like the parent, you know what the mom did? They might have bought you a box of pads and put it in the bathroom if you were lucky, with no words said. So I was just wondering psychologically
Yeah,
how
absolutely.
this, because I think a lot of fertility issues is psychological, in my opinion.
Yeah. As all things are, a combination of psychology and energy.
Well, yeah, probably energy more than anything.
Yeah. In Qigong, the masters say there's only one cause for all disease, mental illness, physical illness, and it's imbalance of energy, the imbalance or the lack of harmony in the yin and the yang, or the masculine and feminine, the active dynamic or the passive receptive. And where there are those imbalances, which also are sparked by the mind and past experience of trauma, then disease can set in. And when it's mental disease or psychological unrest, that can absolutely shut down our entire hormonal system. When I was talking earlier about this combination of thought and hormones and experience, our mind can amplify our hormones, but our hormones can amplify our emotions, and our body can amplify our mental, when we're in pain, distress, then our mind. So all of these things are interrelated. The first thing we need to do is start pulling them apart and recognizing that they're both independent but also interrelated. And our current Western medical model has a mental health professional dealing just with mental health, and a physical doctor dealing just on the level of the physical body, maybe referring you to a mental health specialist, but not diagnosing and treating from the place of the totality. And same is true with energy and energy practices. So where ritual or ceremony or spirituality comes into all of that is, in my opinion, the first tenet of spirituality is that all things are sacred. So when a woman comes into my Moon Lodge, she is sacred. Her mind is sacred, her body is sacred, her womb is sacred, her emotions are sacred, her energy is sacred. And as she begins to self-identify as sacred, she'll begin to honor that that temple of her body, her mind, her emotions, her energy. And as she begins to honor herself, self-care begins to flow quite naturally. And then lifestyle changes come next. Better eating, going to be better for fertility. A more relaxed, stress-free mind, better for fertility. Energy that flows easily between her and her lover, and the ovum and the spermatozoa. It's just energy. They're just small cells of this larger mass of cells. Those two cells, there's going to be a beautiful energy between the sperm and the ovum for conception. So I was invited to work and teach at a hospital that was newly built here a number of years before COVID. And the supervisor who brought me in had been in my moon lodge. And she said, I want you to come and teach your practices, but I really want you to bring a sacred energy into this hospital space, into this wellness center that was inside the hospital, because it's an aspect that's missing from medicine for sure, along with this compartmentalization of the entirety of our sacred self. So to answer your question as directly as I can in all of that, when a woman identifies as sacred and she's honored as sacred and she's gone through sacred rituals that are for her, then all of these other aspects begin to heal or come into alignment or harmony, by whatever word you want to call it. And then there is a receptivity to that cell spermatozoa and the fecundation of the ovum, which then creates the potential for life. And her womb space is going to be nourished. Her womb space, her uterine wall is going to be ready and receptive and plentiful in nutrients, so that that life can sustain itself all the way through birth. I could go on and on. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I was just curious, but it's interesting you said something, and that is how everything's so compartmentalized. And I had an issue with inflammation, and I was given medication for years, and it was expensive, like $100 a month. And I couldn't even stand the concept, but I absolutely had struggled if I wasn't on it. And then in Lifebook, it was, I think, Dr. Bolio. He had us do a diet, to check for foods. And it turned out corn was causing it. That never in 20 years came up. And I love popcorn. And I would have it like at least 5 times a week as my little healthy snack. And it turned out that it was causing all the inflammation. And if I didn't do Lifebook with Dr. Bolio last January, I still wouldn't even know that.
Wow.
And so it's just super interesting how sometimes the disconnect between the different departments, and it's a life-changing difference. Because it fixed a lot of things when I stopped eating corn. And tomatoes. Tomatoes was the other one. Tomatoes is in everything. I love barbecue sauce, but I had to eliminate it. Spaghetti sauce, and I have zero issues. So it's fascinating. So I was thinking the same thing with fertility issues. All these people have fertility issues, and it could be just something so simple, like they're just not connected with their body.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. That's beautiful. I'm so happy for you, and grateful to Lifebook that they're presenting so that you can receive such a gift. What a gift.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, beautiful. Great share. Thank you. Thanks for coming up. Yeah. Good. Anyone else? Michelle, do you want to come up tonight? You've been in the chat a little bit. I haven't heard you. Your voice. Not sure if she's still there with us. Anyone else have a next thought or a question?
Me? Me,
Is
Jesus.
that Anlin? Or
And
Jesus? Go ahead and then, yeah, let's go Jesus and then Anlin.
Well, thank you for this. Very interesting. Where I think I got your emails, but you gave the your website for the Moon Lodge. Is there any? And you said that you're working on 2 books also. So I'm very interested in that too. So where can I? Do you have a website? Do you have more books? What?
Yeah.
Do you have your work that you do?
Let me, I'll put 2 links in the chat that might be helpful for you. This first one, it's a GoFundMe. Don't feel like you have to donate. That's not the point of me putting it in. But that link will take you to that, and it will talk more about the book, the card deck that I was speaking about. If you go on that link from earlier for the downloadables, there's a place where you can click to reserve my book that's about to come out. And then you'll get more information about that. You can decide if you want to buy it or not later. But if you check that reserve my book, then I'll have you on a list so to make sure that you get information. And then let me give you the link to just my regular website. It's the same link as the Moon Lodge link, but I'll give you a link that will take you to the home page. Let's see. There we go.
Okay, I see it. All right. Thank you so much. Very interesting work.
Thank you. Yeah, look around on my website. There's a lot of pathways to go down in my website, so you can get a little lost in there. Just kind of explore around and see where your intuition leads you. I work with individuals, but I have a program for couples, which I'm super passionate about because that couple relationship is so vital for the children. And what they're growing up in, to see their parents in a really healthy, spiritually mature, lit up relationship is just so important for the children. So there's that aspect of my work. And then the mystery school, which I was talking about last month on Life Book, the ancient Machu Picchu mystery school. So mine is called the Vibrant Love Mystery School. This is really part of that. What I taught tonight is all part of those teachings. So anyway, go in there in the website, explore around, and feel free to reach out if you have any questions as you go.
All right. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Yvonne. Thanks for tonight, Diana. It was amazing. You're welcome. Thanks for being here again. So happy to have you. All right, I'm Lynn.
You said something about trauma. And in passing, I was thinking, okay, so can Hamsak be used to diffuse trauma that's held in the body as well, somehow?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
at that particular time, how do you, what technique would I, I guess what would I, how would you frame it to specifically work on it, I guess?
Yeah, that's a great question. The way that I would begin with that is to identify, there will be many in trauma, but sort of a recurring feeling or emotion that has come from the trauma. That's not necessarily the trauma itself, but something that comes up in you. Like, I mean, it could be, I'm just going to use some generic because I don't know your situation, but a deep sadness or a grief or an anger, or I'm using very general terms. You want to be as specific as possible, but there'll be at least one thing, if not multiple things, that come up for you because of that trauma. And it's almost become so much a part of your personality that sometimes you forget it's even related to the trauma. So if you can identify one or several of those aspects, use the Hamsak on those specific aspects, not on the whole body of the trauma itself. be way too, it's too big.
Yep.
It's too overwhelming, and trauma has such power, which is why it's so challenging for people. And it's, I want to use the right word. I don't want to use the word delicate, but it's a very vulnerable state, trauma, and to go into that trauma in order to heal it. So rather than going straight into that trauma and trying to relive it and work on it as one big massive experience that it was, just notice how it has played out in your life through your personality, starting with patterns that are fairly regular.
Right.
And dissolve those first. And then as you go, again, peeling that onion, you'll get closer and closer to the real raw wound of the trauma. And somewhere in that process, I would definitely recommend, having a coach like myself or a therapist or a guide, whoever you have that is a good support system in your world, to at the very least know that you're doing this work on that trauma so that they can be available to support you if needed. One should not walk through that work alone.
I think part of what I'm struggling with is the feeling that some of these things are so ancient and I've developed a sort of a desensitivity towards it to continue functioning. So then I know it's there because it's affecting me, but I can't actually reach it to do anything about it. That's what it feels like.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's part of our survival instinct.
Exactly.
And we need to do that. And we're grateful that we do that until we find something that gives us, sort of opens the gateway to allow us to come into it safely and start to work on it safely. Because it's true, if you were to dive straight into it, all that desensitizing that you've done so that you can be competent in your life would blow up.
Right.
And
I think sorry, but yes, I'm understanding what you're saying there. I think what I'm feeling is that the patterns that it's creating are the things that are stopping me from being what I can be and what I know inside I actually am. And so I've gotten to the point where I need to somehow reach it, but I kind of can't get there. So I guess that's what it is.
Start with the patterns and you'll get to the center rather than the other way around.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can definitely use Hamsak on the patterns for sure.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Great question. You're welcome. Yeah. Well, this is very
Question.
Mm.
Can you use the Hamsak for forgiveness?
Yeah, absolutely. For self and for other. So first tell me, are you thinking in terms of self-forgiveness or forgiveness of other?
Well, I'm going to look on it as both.
Oh, great. Yes, absolutely. Where did the question originally come from, though, in your mind?
When Anlin was speaking about trauma.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Because forgiveness is something that I'm wanting to work on, and I'm procrastinating on working on it because it has affected my relationship with men, because it began with my father with abuse, and so it's come all the way through my life, and I'm wanting to deal with forgiveness, yet I procrastinate because I'm not sure whether to start with the most recent or the most ancient, or because there's a lot of things, including betrayal and, just lots of things through life.
Yeah. I would say start with the most recent, unless the most ancient is what comes through in your personality patterns each day. But you want to start as in the moment as you can. So the more recent, the better, and work your way back. Work your way into the center.
So the outside layer of the onion and moving in and in further and in further. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because the original trauma is the most extreme because likely you were young, you were little, you were innocent,
Oh yes.
pure.
Oh yes.
Yeah. So that wound, once you get back close to it, is still going to be very raw.
It
But
is.
your day-to-day life and how this is happening, start way out here. And if it was 5 years ago with men, or 10 years ago, or 20 years, start there, start working. And so that's clear. You never have to come back to that. You don't have to go into the center and then, oh, now I still have to deal with what happened to me 40 years hence after my childhood. It's already going to be gone. So you're going to clear it, you're going to get really practiced at it, you're going to be free. With each forgiveness for each incident or each man, you're going to be free. And all that freedom, all that light, all that love is going to be available to you to work on the child wound, which is going to need the most amount of love and compassion and nurturing.
Yeah.
And you'll have all
Okay.
that available to you because you won't still be resenting or angry or whatever's not allowed, whatever comes up from the lack of forgiveness for the more recent men in your life. That'll be gone. That'll be clear. You'll be free.
Okay. Thanks.
You're welcome. Welcome. These are great questions.
And it's wonderful that you're staying on and staying on and staying on.
I'm here and I can help. And well, my fire is now gone for the night, but it's warm in here. And so
Geez.
I feel very blessed to be with all of you. Thanks for being with me tonight. And last offer, any last thought or question or share?
Me again.
Yeah. Hi.
So, do you have a plan to be on the life book again?
Yes, my plan, you know what the universe says about plans, but my plan is to present this year each month with a focus on whatever the category for the month is. So next week I'll choose a topic that aligns with intellectual life, which I think is the category for next month, if I'm not mistaken. So yes,
Character.
we'll be back on again next month. I don't have a date set yet or what my topic is, but I will be back on next month and we'll try to do so each month for the year. That's sort of my commitment, part of my vision for the year, my life vision for the year.
All right, good news. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Wonderful. All right, then everyone, until next month, I love you. Be well. Enjoy your life in eternal bliss, moment by moment, to the best of your ability, and reach out if you have any questions. And I hope I see you
Thank
next.
you. Yeah, and thank you.
Pleasure.